Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Coast Boys Podcast. My name is Izzy. I'm joined today by Gabe and our guest, Victor Hernandez. Victor, how you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing well. Can't complain.
How you been, man?
I've been good. Just working.
Working, we're at
Home Depot. Then I got the academy with the soccer kids here in the county.
we're talking off camera right now about the whole Bitcoin thing. What's going on with that?
It's the stock market's a little crazy right now. You can say. I don't know. The GameStop stock is like going up, and like other Reddit people are like buying into the stock and just making it go crazy. There's like stocks that everyone's investing as like GameStop. There's like AMC, like BlackBerry for some reason, then like Bed Bath and Beyond.
BlackBerry? Really?
Yeah. I was reading all the stocks that they're investing in, and I was like, what? Who thought of like, oh, this is a good idea?
Did you understand what was going on?
Yeah, I had a good understanding. GameStop was like going up slowly for the past couple of weeks, and all of a sudden, like last week, it just shot up. It was like $100, and it shot up to like $200-$300.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. Every time I was going through my social media feed, it's like everybody invest in GameStop, everybody hold the line. I was like, what the hell are these guys talking about? And then I watched a Ben Shapiro video, and he like broke down basically what's happening, how they're screwing over all these hedge fund people.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is kind of lit. Like I should invest in GameStop.
It's like downloading all the apps.
I was like, I gotta get Robinhood, I got all these.
Gabe's on Twitter. Hold the line, guys. Hold the line.
Yeah.
Changes his
I'm at the forefront. I changed my Insta handle to hold the
Wall
line.
Street bets.
Yeah.
Do you invest in that? Do you get involved?
I invested in the coin. I think it's a doggy coin one. I invested like 2 days ago. I started investing in it, and I was like, oh, it's going up. I'll make some money. And I invested like $200 in it. I made like $300. And I was like, cool. It's going up. And like Friday is going to be a good day for me. And I woke up like
Lost all your money.
It went down $100, and like in the next 5 minutes, I lost like another 200.
Oh,
and I was like, what in the world's happening right now?
See, I didn't understand you could lose money that fast. I don't know why. I've never been big on the stock market, and I don't really understand it that well. I know a few of my friends have been trying to like get me into it and whatnot, but I
wonder how they're doing.
The fact that you can
I wonder
lose
how
money,
they're doing right now.
Well, I know Isaac. He's talked to me a few times. That's the person who comes to mind because he's always sending me that little like join my Robinhood account and I get a free stock. And I would tell him like, fuck off, bro. Like, I'm not joining this shit.
Like, how many times have I told you just stop sending me this stuff?
Yeah,
well, the thing is like you get free stock, so like people will like send me it, and I was like already signed up, so I can't. But my buddy, when I used to work with, he sent it to me. And it's like, hey, we'll get both free stock. You might get a chance to get Amazon or like Tesla or something. And I was like, what's the worst? And I got Ford, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" It's like,
Oh, it's randomized?
yeah, it's randomized.
Yeah, it's
so you can get like different other ones. So it's like I got Ford, and I was like,
was that not very good?
It was all right, but I sold it. I was like, I can't do anything with this, So I sold.
I just threw it away. I don't want this.
So I sold it, but like I was like keeping an eye out things here and there, how the stock market was. But then one day last year I lost like $300 in one day. Damn. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm tired of this, And I waited like an extra day, and I made it back, and I sold all my stock. So I was out of it, and with all the GameStop stuff happening again, and I was like, this is a good time to get back. Nah, I was wrong. I lost all my money.
I feel like at that, if you said it was 2 days ago, I feel like at that point everything's already coming down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
hold the line.
So what?
Like the trend is already on its way out.
So but what happened was like Robinhood just limited people what they can do. So what they said on Thursday, I think, is like people on Robinhood couldn't buy GameStop or like these stocks anymore.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, oh, I thought there was a free market. So they're limiting what's happening. And I guess people were saying like Robinhood was trying to protect like the hedge fund people.
That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and we're like, what the fuck,
You can say whatever you want, Victor.
So everyone's like, well, what's happening? So Thursday there was a big dip, and like Friday, started coming back again. And I was like, it's coming up. I bought the coin and stuff, lost some money there. And I was like, I'm going to sell all this. I'm going to flip over to AMC and see what happens. I made a cool $30, and I was like, okay, we're coming back, boys.
Hey, babe, we're set. Dinner's on me tonight.
I was like, I know that mansion you've been eyeing. We're going to buy that.
Okay, let me ask you this, Vic. When you invest in that kind of stuff and you see that your money's going up, on the applications, are there people that advise you to do certain things, or is it just going off your instinct and your knowledge?
Well, for me, for Robinhood, you get just like the basic part, or you can get like the gold thing. You can pay a little bit more, like $5 a month, and they kind of give you these extra things for the app.
It's kind of like Tinder.
Yeah. Just joking. Exactly.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
So it's like,
Anyways.
And so you can either do that, or, you can go, search stuff for yourself and kind of see what's happening, or do what everyone's doing right now. Just go on Twitter, follow Wall Street Bets, and just kind of see what's happening. And
on Reddit, right?
Yeah, on Reddit, and just kind of see what's happening and kind of go from there. For me, I kind of do a little bit of everything. I'll go on Twitter and I follow like some stock people, and it's like, oh, invest in this and that. kind of see where it's going and kind of make a decision. Most of the time it's like, this looks like a good idea. It's been going up. I'll invest like, some money here. Then a week later I'm down like $20 and I was like, well, that wasn't good. So I kind of like a hit and miss to see what I want. But most of the time I'm kind of doing some investigating to see, what I should kind of invest in.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's something that we talked about on Nestor's episode, like the whole stock market and investing in stocks. And for me, it's just been something that I never understood. So I wouldn't really feel comfortable throwing my money in there.
Same.
And from what I understand, it's like you're getting rich on paper, or like you're making money on paper. But I'm sure the people that are maneuvering and moving the pieces around are advising you not to take that money out. So it's like, when do you see a return? Like, when do you get that cash flow?
Bro, I was just watching Wolf of Wall Street yesterday. And not to say that's exactly what's going on. Such a great movie. Yeah,
Top 5.
Okay,
Top 5.
And I was
hey, Gabe, before you get into that, that's a great story. I love it. But that thing I sent you on Twitter, the explanation of everything that's going on. So it's like for people that don't know, because I didn't know what was going on until I read this, and you're good at reading, so read that.
Okay. I appreciate it, man. That's a huge compliment. Thank you so much. From the very top?
Yeah. So this is I didn't really understand, like you're saying, or you were saying that you started seeing things like all this commotion about the whole
GameStop and stuff.
Yeah. So read that, because I didn't really understand what was going on until I saw that. Okay.
It says, I know at least one of my followers doesn't quite understand what is happening in the stock market right now, and that's enough to motivate me to explain this. This is somewhat of a turning point in the world history. First, you need to understand what a short is in trading. A short is when you borrow a stock from a broker and sell it immediately at its current price. Then you hope the stock price falls such that you can buy the stock back at a lower price and return the shares you borrowed to your broker, but keeping the difference. Example, let's say I want to short XYZ, which has a current price of $10. I borrow one share and sell it immediately at $10. I have $10 now, but I owe my broker the one share I borrowed. Then let's say the price of XYZ drops to $7. I now decide to buy it back, my short position, and buy one share at $7 and return the one I borrowed share to my broker. I made $10 when I sold and only had to pay $7 to buy it back, lower. So my profit is now $3 difference. But now let's say instead of the XYZ price dropping to $7, it goes to up to $15. I still need to return the one borrowed share to my broker, except now it's going to cost me a lot more to buy it back. If I buy it back at $15 so I can return the borrowed shares, my losses will be at $5 difference between selling at $10 and rebuying at $15. Since the price can rise indefinitely, my potential losses as a short seller are unlimited. At some point, I have to buy it back and return the shares I borrowed. The more the price rises, the bigger my losses. Now, for GameStop, a few weeks ago, a Redditor on our Wall Street Bets noticed that a hedge fund had taken a massive amount of short trades against GameStop. They convinced everyone to the thread to join forces and buy as much GameStop stock as possible. This made the price rise and the hedge fund's short position started to lose billions. Their losses even surpassing $3.1 billion that the hedge fund was worth. Eventually, the hedge fund had to close their short positions and buy all the GameStop stock back at much higher prices, sending the price even higher still. This is called a short squeeze. Now the hedge fund is declaring bankruptcy, and the Reddit thread is combing through other hedge funds with massive short exposure so that they can short squeeze them into bankruptcy as well. All of Wall Street is saying that the public joining together in this fashion should be illegal, but really they just lost all their own game to the masses. So, yeah, that basically is like a quick little explanation. Yeah, and it makes sense, and that's something I didn't know about until I'd watched that video of Ben Shapiro. He'd been explaining it and breaking it down. Basically what he did on a whiteboard, he's like, okay, they buy it for this much, then they resell it for this, and this is how they make the profit. But when the price goes up, then they end up losing all that difference. And it's pretty insane that people just got together and were like, all right, we're going to screw all these people over.
And it's funny that it has to be GameStop. Out of all the stocks that, that they could choose, it's like GameStop. This is the one that we're going to do it for.
Yeah, I mean, that's why like they're calling it like a meme stock, because it's like, exactly like that, like a company like GameStop that's like might as well invest in Blockbuster.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, people have been comparing it to Blockbuster, and obviously everyone knows that was like a failing business because there's so many things like Netflix now, Hulu, HBO, everything. You just get everything online, so there's no real reason to go in person and rent a movie or rent a game.
Yeah. But I cut you off. You were saying about Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, yes. I was watching that last night.
Again, top 5.
Yeah. It might be top 3, bro. It was really, really good. But I was watching it, and the first time I watched it, I didn't really understand what the movie was about. Like, I thought it was sick, but like I didn't really understand it. So this time, like with this in mind, I like watched it and I understood everything more. And he talks about how he's buying these penny stocks, or he's selling these penny stocks to these people, and he's basically just convincing the average Joe that this penny stock is going to blow up and they're going to make all this money by investing in it now when they're only worth a penny.
Yeah.
Then later when they're worth a lot more and they're going to cost more to invest in. And it's just crazy to see, like, the brokers make 50% profit on penny stocks versus these big stocks like Apple and whatnot that you're going to have to pay way more up front to get a piece of it or whatever. And just to think like this is what they're doing essentially, and this, like, they're screwing people over. And it's funny because now I can see like the people that they're screwing over, and I was like, well, I mean, you kind of had it come. You're kind of like an asshole.
Well, that's what people are saying. It's like it's doing what Wall Street does, but it's going back to them.
Yeah,
it's just like
they're playing the same game. They're not changing anything. It's just they don't like the taste of their own medicine.
Yeah,
and now they're calling for more restrictions on the trade market. And it's like you guys before were saying like we want a free open market, no restrictions, and now it's like no, there has to be something to stop these people.
It's like when they're making money, it's like it's great and fantastic,
exactly,
and everything. But when like we're making money off them, it's just like, oh my goodness,
no, you can't do it. Yeah,
exactly. Oh, it has to be illegal.
But it's crazy they're losing billions of dollars.
But it's even more funnier that it has to be people from Reddit. It's like
I know, right?
Out of everywhere, it's just like Reddit. This guy is like, okay, this is what's happening, and all of a sudden that happens.
It's the power of the internet.
Yeah, seriously,
that's insane, dude. And I was reading too that the reach on there, I think like the group, because essentially I think of it as like that Wall Street Bets on Reddit, like almost like a Facebook page.
Yeah,
and it's like the people on that platform is like 2.2 million. That's insane. So like think about all the people that they're reaching with like these ideas, like, hey, if we just join forces, that's a ton of people, bro. Like,
yeah.
But like it's even more funnier that Elon Musk, anything he tweets and everything goes up. So he started talking about GameStop, that invest more, and fucking GameStop went up.
He was saying that?
Yeah, then like I believe it was, and they were trying to have him talk about like the cryptocurrency, the doggy one, and he just tweeted out like his image of like this dog and like in a magazine, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Everyone was like freaking out, and that's when the crypto thing started going up, and that's when I bought. And then all of a sudden the hype just went down. And I was like, Jesus, dude.
Damn.
Bro, see, that's why I feel like I'm always trying to get into stocks, but I just feel like I'm never going to fully like drop a K, 2K, 3K more into something.
Well, it's like, people always say it's like, invest in stocks where you're comfortable with losing.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable losing, $500 or like even $200, invest in it. What's the worst thing you're going to lose? $200, you can make $400, $500, maybe $600,
Yeah.
So it's like, why not make that little risk?
I always thought of it as like gambling. That's how I was like,
but essentially it is.
But you can make a lot of.
You can lose it. You can lose it at any point.
Well, with gambling, it's just like I'm just putting down the wheel. Right?
Exhibit A. Just like sitting there sweating.
Right. So that's how I was like, if I want to get into stocks, like I gotta like set some time aside and study them and figure out which ones are good.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's a good idea to get in if you have
if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna touch.
Don't even worry about it. I'll send you guys my link. You'll get some free stock, and you'll figure it out. There's only one.
Just take my courses for $9.99 a month.
We'll have your link in the description, bro.
Another thing too, like this is something that I told Nestor too. Like my finance professor at Sonoma State was teaching us all about the NASDAQ, all about how the things are rated, how they go up and down, like everything about the stock market. But he was telling us like after all these years of study, or like being a finance professor, understanding money and the way it's maneuvered and the stock market and stuff, like still like it's so unpredictable. And he's like, and I've lost thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's like, why would I want to touch that then? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I want to put my money in when an expert that's teaching me about this subject doesn't know what he's doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems funky to me.
Too good to be true.
Kinda, but like, it just seems like very schemy, like very weaselly.
For example, if you go, when I was looking at what was happening, I was on Twitter and people were sharing the Robinhood stuff, and some person put in like 10,000 when everything was happening, they tripled it. Just like in that one day, you made that much money. So it's like, why not make that risk? Again,
true.
Comfortable with what.
If you know when to pull out, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a life lesson for everything. If you know when to pull out, bro, you're straight. But I was seeing also that there was a kid who had some shares in GameStop before this whole thing blew up.
I saw that.
And and that dude has like $15 million now because he took out all his money.
No, it's funny because this cryptocurrency, I invested in it last summer in July. I bought like 1,000 shares. It was like, didn't cost that much. And I was like, I was making some money here and there. It was like $12 here.
Of which one?
Of the doggy
dog
one.
coin?
The dog coin, yeah. And I was like, oh, it's whatever.
So
and
you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah. I had it for like 2 months and I sold it. And I was like, oh, whatever. Nothing's going to happen with this. And like when all this started happening at the meme, And I was like, part of me just like
died inside.
yeah, I was like, man, like if I would have kept it, where would I be right now? Jeez. But that's like with pretty much anybody. It's like people like, oh, I had Tesla stock and I sold it.
Yeah, Tesla stock right now.
Yeah, dude.
It's like $600 just to even get in there. Like,
yeah, I know people who had it like they bought it like at $100, $200.
Really?
Then it went up to like 1,000.
Dude, there you go. Yeah.
But they sold it like at $400 because they thought it was just going to drop off, and they sold it.
Either way, you still made a lot of money on it. Yeah, you could have regret of that, but hey, if you pocketed more money,
but it goes back for what Izzy was saying. It's not money you have. And people always tell me, it's like, oh, you made, yesterday you had $1,000, but today you lost 300. He's like, well, yeah, but I still made $700
overall. Right?
Yeah. Technically, I didn't have $1,000. I have $700.
It's almost like imaginary money.
Yeah,
that you're just playing with.
Yeah. Oh, and that's what you were talking about. They always tell investors like, "Oh no, stay."
Yeah, like just say it goes up 300%, and you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna sell out." No, don't do that. Like invest in other ones, or let's move this around.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, it's just
sleazy.
It's just fishy to me, man. I just don't get it. But it's just because I don't understand. Yeah, maybe it's perfectly fine.
And again, dude, let me send you my link. Some free stock.
If you change your mind,
it's right there. Don't even worry about it. And we'll just start off. But whatever people are comfortable with. It's just a weird time right now with the whole stock. Everyone's trying to get into it. Mm-hmm. So we're not better time to learn right now.
For sure.
I feel that. So how do we know each other? Changing subjects.
So I. Personally, I didn't know you guys till like the 7v7 tournament at Sonoma State.
That's where we met formally.
Yeah.
That's right. Hey, what's up, guys? That's a lie. I remember meeting you in high school. You played in Fort Bragg for a tournament.
Oh yeah,
and you were like,
I remember.
Guest played for
so
Mendocino High School, which is like the worst team.
Yeah.
You played for Mendo High School for a game?
So what happened was
Mendo's best player.
We went to. So it was like
they have a picture of Victor up in the gym. That one game he played like the best goalie ever had.
Best signing of the year, best signing of the century.
So what happened was
pull the mic a little further away.
So what happened was we went. The JV had a tournament up there, and I was on varsity, and I was like, dude, I want to go up to Fort Bragg for a weekend. I want to go up. And I was telling the coaches like, let me go up. It's like, well, you can go up, but you might not play. And I was like, I don't care. I'm here for experience. Mm-hmm. So we went up, and that day we were playing. It was raining. It was like terrible.
The Coast Cup or something.
Yeah, and we were playing in the first game. Whenever we played a game, we won and whatever. Then it started pouring. Then Mendocino was there, and they didn't have like a few players or something.
Like 8 players.
Yeah.
They had like 6 because you're only allowed to play with 7.
Yeah,
like you can't play with less than 7. So they just were like at that mark. So they needed 2 more players.
And I was like, I'm not playing. I'm just here, enjoying the time. So I was like, yeah, I'll play. Why not, dude? And I played, and Izzy came on from.
No, Steve-O. It was Steve-O.
Was it Steve-O?
It was Steve-O. He was playing like left mid. It was like their best player.
Steve-O.
You guys played against like Eureka, and then Victor literally had like the game of his life.
Really?
Yeah, I was like saves left and right. I had like 12, 13 saves.
Damn.
And after the game, I was
like flying, bro. Like the whole stadium, like applauding for him.
Really?
Like flying, making saves, like throwing himself. Like
my God.
Well, I think we tied or lose that game.
I think you lost, but
yeah, I was like 1-0 or 2-1. I was like, it was really close, and we lost. And I was like, man. This is how it feels like to actually win a game.
You guys suck.
No, all the Mendocino people are like, oh my God, thank you for helping us out.
Please come live with us. I have an extra room in the house. Like I'll cook for you.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think that was the first time because besides that, you guys played men's league for like Zodiaco, and well, I'll see you guys play here and there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, I just had this impression like you're like cocky people, and I was like,
really?
Yeah.
From Fort Bragg?
Yeah, and I was like, I fucking hate you guys, dude. You guys were just super. I had this impression of you guys like being super cocky, and I was like, man, who do these guys think they are? They comparing like
I wonder why.
players. I don't know.
Probably.
We're playing with St. Mary and stuff and here and there, and we always had
all
issues.
young bucks.
Yeah,
I remember.
And everyone was like, oh, the high school kids and this and that, and everyone would just kind of compare us like, oh, to you guys or something, and we'll just play, and we always had these issues with your team.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Then that happened. We're men's league. Then the 7v7 tournament happened.
At Sonoma.
Yeah, and Jeremiah was like, hey, we're having this team over there. You want to come? And I was like, sure. And I went there, and he was like, yeah, you can't play. And I was like, well,
why was it? Was it an age thing?
Yeah, I think it was an age thing. I think. Yeah, I was like over
missed
a year or two. Yeah, I was like a year or two over. And he was like, well, you want to coach? And I was like, well, shoot, I'm already here. I have my rides playing, so I can't really go home.
Dude, that was literally like on a day's notice.
Yeah.
I remember one time he was like, I kept telling him like, Jay, let's put a team together from the best players of all the county, He's like, no, it's not fair to the kids who train and come every day, this and that. I was like, oh my God.
I remember we talked about it during his interview.
I was so
I
mad.
still
I was
disagree
like,
with
dude.
him. He's like, it's not right to do it. I was like, dude, no, it is. It's sick. We're building a super team. Like, we want to win this.
Well, what happened that day was we had like all these players from like Mendocino, like Mendo. They had Fort Bragg, Ukiah. Then we had some people from Lake County, and we went on a roll.
We're undefeated.
Yeah, we went undefeated.
lose.
And like the first couple games, well, the first game, Macias, tore his ACL.
Was it
Tore it
the
in the
first
game?
game?
Yeah,
I thought it was like
I
the
thought he
second,
was
third.
already injured.
No, it was his first game. He went for a tackle and he hurt himself.
Damn.
Very first game, and he was just limping the whole day.
I
And
remember
was
that.
I
like,
remember
oh.
he's like, coach, put me in.
Yeah, he was
coach."
telling me, he's like,
he
coach,
still
put
wanted
me
to
in.
play.
And
He still
I
wanted to
was
do
like,
that.
no, I can't do that. I can't do that. So he stayed off the whole time he was off.
No, he played in the championship. No, a little
did,
bit.
yeah.
Until the championship, he
Yeah.
was just asking me. He was like,
He
no.
came on, scored the goal, and just walked off. He's like,
Did he
"Alright, coach."
score? Did he actually?
Yeah.
He's like,
Dude, what a
let me
guy.
go in, let me go in. And it was like, we won like 4-3 or 5-3.
Yeah, that was a close game.
Yeah.
And everyone, I took this coaching real serious, dude. I was like halftime, like talking to you guys, like, come on, guys,
I
pressure,
remember.
this and that.
Dude, what a squad, dude.
Dude,
did.
I have a picture on my phone, dude. I have it.
We have what
I have
was
it
it?
on
It
my
was,
phone
it
too,
was
yeah.
me, Gabe,
Then it was
Hector.
Hector,
and Pipe.
Alan, Pipe,
Then Macias, then
Carlos.
Luis.
Well, Carlos there? No, not Carlos. Brendan,
No,
Jesus,
Jesus, yeah, I was about to say him.
Macias,
And
Luis
Luis.
Rodriguez. That was the
Yeah.
first time meeting Luis as well.
I think that was it. That's it.
Squad.
Huicho.
Oh yeah, Wicha was there.
Wicha,
Yeah,
oh, he was.
Yeah, and yeah, we went undefeated and we won it. And to this day, I don't care what they say. I'm still butthurt I wasn't able to keep that trophy because I told.
Where's it at?
I think Jeremiah has it.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
he
yeah.
has it, yeah.
Dude, I lost my shirt.
I have it. I think I still have mine.
Damn, I lost my shirt.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
looking
the
for it.
championship
Yeah,
one?
the
Oh, okay.
white one.
I was gonna say we wore pennies when we played. Everyone else had their own jerseys, and we just had like these ripped up orange and red pennies.
Oh
Like,
man.
yeah.
No, I told him like after when the tournament was over, I was like, "Hey, can I keep it?" And he's like, "No, I'm gonna keep it for the club and stuff." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
All right.
I understand.
I understood. I understood. It was for his club and stuff and everything. But part of me was just like, "Well, come on."
They won because of me. I set up the formation.
It's like you sure? It's
I
like
did the
come on.
halftime talks. Yeah,
But yeah, I got super into it, and yeah, that was like my first and only coaching experience, like actual like legit coaching with you guys, and we won.
You haven't
Like,
thought about coaching ever
Well,
He is a coach.
Well, besides like from there, when I joined the college team, then we had like we would help out with the academy because we were we'll help them out.
since? Yeah.
Then now when I graduated, they're like, "Hey, do you want to coach the goalkeepers and stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." Then I left to play. When I came back, and they're like, "Hey, come back." So I'm still coaching stuff here and there,
Okay.
but I just started again, just like my fourth time starting with the club like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
So I'm coaching again, but like actual like older, like 18, 19-year-olds. That was like my
okay.
only experience, and I was like, that was like the greatest thing ever, biggest accomplishment in my life, coaching
Sweet.
wise.
That's the
That's the pinnacle.
To this day,
I'll never reach something higher than
I
that.
made with kids. Man, to this day, best day of my life, of my professional career. And then after that, you played at Mendo College.
Yeah.
Well, let's before we get into that, like, what was your life like growing up? Like, what aspirations did you have? Did you always play soccer? What did you want to
well-
be compared to what you are now?
Like my dad always played soccer. He was a goalie, and growing up, he always wanted us to play. But he didn't force us. He wanted us. He was like, if you want to play soccer, you can play here and there. But we would always go with him to the field instead of play with his team, his men's league team. So like at age 3 or 4 is when I started playing. But growing up, I always for some weird reason, I love history. I love it. I want to be like a historian. Then I got into like this phase, like astronomy. I want to be an astronomer and stuff and everything. But it was always like historian or that. And that's what I wanted to be. But then I played soccer on the side. And of course, who doesn't want to be a soccer player, professional or something. And that was always my aspiration. Like, if I can, why not? Why can't I play professional? But that was my thing. But legit, like an actual job, like historian. It's like,
Do you remember what made you want to do that?
I just love history. I just love it. But then I realized like they don't make any money and there's like no careers in there. And I was like, you know what? Is this a good profession
I
for
don't
me?
really love it that much.
You could become a librarian or something.
And I realized like, you know what? There's not that much money. I got to choose a career that I can actually make some money off of it. And I was like, astronomy, going, start astronomer and stuff. And it's like, that's a lot of schooling. I'm not really good with math either. It's like, I'm not really choosing these good careers for myself. So I was like, okay, those were out of the books. But eventually when I was like 9, 10, when I started really getting into soccer and stuff, and I was like, you know what? Something with like science, like human body wise. Just like, cause I would always get hurt. I'm a clumsy person, growing up, even now. So I'll be like walking, and all of a sudden I just like twist my ankle for some weird reason.
Bro, same,
And I was like, dude, what happened? And and I always go to the doctor's office and stuff. That's, this is what happened. But that is what kind of something clicked. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like how the body's working. And it's like how I look at it. It's like there's all these different pieces connected. And if one wrong thing is out of place, everything comes apart. So even if it's like an ankle problem, that can cause so much problems up to your knee.
Yeah, because you're favoring one leg over the other.
Exactly.
That would always happen to me.
So all this, something just clicked, and all these things were just coming to my mind. I was like, oh, this is what's happening. What else can I learn? So that's when I started clicking around 9 and 10. Then later on, it's like, okay, I want to do this career. Like physical therapy is like what I want to do. But yeah, that's pretty much, how it was for school.
So you want to do physical therapy? Is that something you were looking into when you were like applying to colleges and in high school, or when did you really decide to jump into that?
When I went to like college is when I kind of figured like I want to do that, because in high
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Mendo here for a few years. Then I went to Kansas. Then I went from there. I went to Sonoma. Then I graduated with my bachelor's there. Then from there, but this whole time when I was in college, I was like, okay, I want to do physical therapy. This is what I want to do.
And did you go to college straight out of high school, or did you kind of?
No, I had to go straight to like community college after high school. Yeah, I was a bad like high school student. Like for some reason, I don't know. There's a few people I know like beginning of high school they were really good, like they had good grades and this and that. But something in sophomore year, junior year, it just clicks, and all of a sudden we just start falling. And like the only thing I cared about, because like junior year is when I started playing soccer, because I took a break from middle school, like freshman and sophomore years when I took a break. I would still play with my friends here and there, but I didn't really take it serious. But like junior years when I started playing again, I was like, oh, 2.0, that's all I need. I didn't care, at least as long as I get a 2.0, that's all I care about. Then the spring came along, I was like, I don't care about my grades. Just, as long as I get a C or like a D, I got a passing grade, that's all I cared about. So in high school, that was like the later part of it. I was like getting like 3.5s beginning. Then I was like getting 2.0s, like barely scratching like 2.0s, like getting like 1.6s and stuff. It was like pretty bad. And like people always ask me, it's like, oh, how are you? Like when you graduate, what's your GPA? And I always laugh about it. I was like, oh, this wasn't the best. It's like, how bad is it?
I don't want to talk about it.
And I was like 2.2, 2.3.
Like 3.3.
Yeah.
What are we talking here?
People were like talking like, oh, it's a 2.1, 2.2. I was like, nah. I was like, what was it? It's like, and I was like, oh, it's like a 1.5, 1.4.
Yeah.
And it's like, their face is like, how? I was like, what happened? It's like, I just didn't care. As long as I passed these three classes, that's all I care about. It was English, this AI class, and like chemistry.
Did your parents not give you a hard time about grades or anything?
Well, they didn't really. They asked me about it, and I was like, oh, I'm there. I'm doing good.
They didn't really understand.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
That was like, my dad always been like, okay, go to school, kind of a thing.
Right.
And that's always been like my thing, like go to school, get a degree, get something, because I would always help my dad since I was like 6 or 7. He would always work 2 jobs, so I would always help him. He'll clean. He'll be a janitor. It's like, hey, can you come help me? And I was like, cool. I'll go help him stuff, and like with cleaning and stuff and this and that. And that was always him having 2 jobs and stuff. And he always tell us like, go to school, get your degree and this and that. Then that's what happened. And like throughout my whole like teenage years, I always had a job since I was like 8, helping my dad till like now. I always had a job, always. So it was like I would work at a nursery, like a plant nursery, like with flowers and stuff. And that was like hard labor. It was like picking up like 50, 60 pound bag of dirt, lifting this up, waking up early. And I hated it. But I did it, but they paid me pretty good, and it was in cash, so no taxes. So I was like, I was kind of figuring out. Like, yeah, dude. Yeah. So I was like, I got my first check, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is good living right here. And I was like, what, like 15? I was getting like,
especially at that,
300-400 bucks.
That's a lot of money. Right there, yeah.
And my dad was like, hey, give me some money for like bills and stuff. And I was like, okay, here's like, $50, $100, whatever, But I would always help him though.
Yeah.
But that was like throughout my whole life, I would always work. And yeah, even going to school, I would always work, but it was always that mentality. I was like, hey, go to school, get a degree. Don't do this double job thing. It sucks. And they always had that impression on me. It's like, hey, I love how hard my dad works, because all that hard work got him to where he is. He has his business and everything, he's like, he's comfortable.
What does he do?
He owns a gutter business.
Okay.
But that took him years, of hard work, working for a different company and a bunch of other stuff. And it was like, and there was one time he was unemployed for like a good month, because there was just like a month or two, there's like no work, and he decided to get his GED. And he went back and went to school and was like, hey, if I can do it, this is, kind of inspiring us.
Dude, that's awesome.
So I was like, cool, this is cool. And when he got his GED though, the lady called him and was like, hey, how's job hunting and stuff? You can be making this much. And my dad's like barely starting off with his business. It's like, I'm making this much money. I get like $40-$50 an hour. It's like, I don't want to, why would I, it's nice. He got his GED, not because he wanted it, but because he was bored. Mm-hmm. And it took him not that long. He had more trouble getting his licensure exam, like his license thing, to do his business more than anything.
Interesting.
So he's a smart guy. Like money wise, like that's who I go to. Like he gives me all the tips I need, like being financially stable, understanding money and all that.
What stocks to invest in?
Like, yeah, instead of the Robin Hood link.
You see this little dog right here?
No. He's like, hey son, if you use my link, you get
That was it. Last summer, I was talking to my dad about stocks, and he was thinking about it. I was like, should I invest? And I was like, I have this link.
You're like, hell yeah.
I was telling him about it, and I was like, I have this link. You'll get some free stocks. But I'm still trying to convince him. But he was always this person, like being like super smart, being financially stable and everything. So he's the one that I always go to for like help or anything when it comes to stuff like that. But he was telling me, he's like, hey, he went to school till he was like the sixth grade. He didn't have a chance because he had to help my grandpa. But he would always tell me like, go to school. And that's pretty much what kind of propelled me. But during that whole time, while he was working these two jobs and stuff, it's like, I don't want to, ask him for help or anything, I don't want to be in that. He has me, my brother, my 3 other brothers, and my mom, like all this to worry about. Plus all the bills. It's like, I'm not going to have him worry about me or anything. It's like, I'll get my job. I'll pay for my own, I'll go do my own thing. Cause I don't want to add more stress to him. So that was me throughout like kind of a little bit of high school and like a lot of college. And he'll help me like, hey, do you need help? But I've always been the person who's like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't need help.
That's such a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Do you need money for anything? Do you have money? Like,
but even when I needed help, I would say no. Because
really?
I just don't want to be that, like, I don't.
A prideful kind
like
of
a
thing.
burden
I'm
on
not gonna.
Yeah, more, not, I wasn't prideful, but I don't want to be, I feel like a burden kind of a thing. It's like, I'm going to school because it's my choice. I don't want you to help me because you have all these other responsibilities that you have to worry about. I don't want you to worry about me kind of a thing. So, but for example, like for getting a car, everyone's like, oh, my parents got me a car, this and that. What he would do is like, hey, I'll help you get this car, but you have to pay me back. Mm-hmm. So you have a year and a half to pay me back. If you don't pay me back in a year and a half, there's interest on top of it.
Damn.
So he'll force us to understand like, hey, money, this is money. And this is, this is how you make it, but be smart about it.
That's so crazy because I know so many friends who they get their car, it's a handout.
Nah.
And I understand because it's like, oh, it's such a nice thing to do. You're a parent, you have the money, you can provide for your kid. Why not give him a car? But at the same time, what your dad did there, it taught you a lesson there about how to manage money, how to pay somebody back, be responsible with your money and whatnot. Yeah. And
so that's pretty much how he was with us, like growing, like not like till we're older. He always be like, okay, I'm helping you, but you have
to. It comes to your household, Victor. It's been a year, man. Where's my money? Like, don't worry, Dad, I'm good for it. Don't worry.
But he would always tell us like, hey, pay me, he wouldn't tell us like, pay me back and stuff. Like, hey, you owe this much. He'll kind of remind us, but he wouldn't be like on our ass about it.
Yeah. And
we'll be like, hey, I have like my little notebook. It's like, hey, I owe this much. So I'll keep track of what I owe. But that's pretty much how he was with me and my brothers. And he still is, if we need help with something, it's like, hey, I'll give you this much, but you have to pay me back in this much. If not, there's a little bit of interest. It's like, it's cool. We understand now. Uh-huh. But he's always been like, I'll help you if you need help. Just ask me. But again, I don't want to be that burden to him. It's like, hey, I don't need your help not because I don't need it. It's because I don't want it. So that's pretty much how it was with him. So again, he's always been like, go to school. Same with my mom. She went to like 3rd grade or something, but she's always been go to school. So that's pretty much like the push of what. And plus like working in the nursery, and like I hate working outside. Like I don't get me wrong, like I respect people who like, have their skills and stuff in there and everything, but I just cannot work with, like, I don't want to work outside. Yeah. If I can be inside with the AC on, working with, like, doing something like that.
100%.
Exactly. It's like, I don't want to be like, when it's like 110 outside, working outside. It's like, I don't want to do that, dude. And it's like
rain or shine.
Exactly. Like, I respect that, and like, all towards you, bro. But that's just not me. Yeah. And like, people are like, oh, what do you mean? It's like, that's just not me.
It's a touchy subject because some people, that's their only option is to work that specific job. It's like, essentially that's why you go to school, because I don't want to do this the rest of my life.
Exactly.
And it sounds kind of messed up to say, Like,
It's like
I
people
don't want to be working.
People
at a
assume it's
grocery
like, oh,
store.
what are you saying? Are you better than me? It's like, no, it's like I just don't want to work outside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just my dad always been working like construction and have his business. So
Yeah.
always working outside. And even now I see him, it's like he has like back problems and stuff in here and there. And I'm just like, you know, I don't want to be like that when I'm 50, 60,
Hard
70 years
labor.
old. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like if I can work inside a place with an AC when it's during the summer and stuff like that, why not?
Oh, well, my dad used to always tell me, because he always worked in construction all his life.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I came here to the United States and I busted my ass to work all these jobs and make all this money and provide for you so you could go to college so you don't have to do what I did.
Exactly.
Because I don't want that for you. Because now he's got 2 busted knees, his back's hurting too. Like when I see him walk, man, it sucks seeing him like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's took a toll on him. And so that's why he was always like, no, like you're going to go to school, you're going to go to college,
Yeah.
and you're going to do something different.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like even now, like it's funny that I'm going to be a physical therapist. I'll tell him like, "Hey, you have to go see the therapist. You have to go." It's like, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine."
I
And it's
know, my
always,
dad's the
people,
same
it's
way.
always for some reason, it's always like Mexican parents are like that. It's like, "I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine." It's
I wonder
like,
why that is.
I don't know. It just
They don't trust the process. They don't trust the.
My dad was like, every time I go to the hospital, they always find something wrong with me. And I was like,
Yeah, you're broken.
it's like your back's hurting. It's like, what do you want them to tell you? But he's always been like that. And even now, like I'm kind of understanding what's happening to him. And they're like, hey, this is what's happening. I try to talk him into it. Like, hey, you have to go.
Right.
And he's always been like, no, I have to work. I have to work. I have to work. You know, I was like, but you know, you're back. you just
can't walk. You can't get out of bed.
This is work with me here.
So that I always talk to him about it, but it's always all these issues are coming up. And again, it's just funny that I'm a physical, I want to be like a physical therapist.
Yeah.
And it's just like, hey, you know, this is what's happening. You know, please just listen to me. He just doesn't want to listen. I'm just like, hey, after a while, I just like leave him for like a few weeks. I was like, hey, your back still hurting? He's like, yeah, therapist. And he just shakes his head. He's like, just leave me alone. I was like, all right. And then a few weeks later, I'll just ask him again. So I'm just like bothering him until he just gives in, until he has to go.
Right.
I think-
So you went into college, first day, you want to become a physical therapist?
Yeah, I had a good like towards the end of high school is like when I kind of figured like, hey, I want to do this, because I was playing soccer like junior, senior year.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't have the grades to go to a 4-year, you know, and I was, you know, and because like my wife was like pushing me. It's like, hey, like you should go to college, because I wanted to get out from high school and just work and make money. And she's like, no, you can do better than that. And like, she always tells me like, you're smart, but you're just so fucking lazy. And I was like, that is very true. It's like, I am like,
You're
I'm
not wrong.
Yeah, I'm not going to deny it. Cause I'm like she's super smart. She would get like 4.0. She's like a top student. I'm like a B average student. It's like, I'm good. I know I can do better, but I'm happy here, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But like for people though, it's like these different careers, like, oh, C's get degrees, kind of a thing.
Right.
It's like in the medical field, no, C's don't get degrees. B's maybe get degrees. A's get degrees. But even A, you're competing with everybody else that has these high good grades. So like, yeah, it's a nice field to be in and stuff and everything. And like, I'm glad I chose it, but it's just so hard compared to everything else. So even when I would go to like Sonoma and everything, like all those to Kansas, when I went over there for school, everyone's like, oh, you know, I get like a 2.5 and this and that. They're all happy about it. And over here, I'm like suffering, like studying anatomy and like physiology and all these other classes are like super hard. I'm like, oh yeah, it must be nice. You know?
I was gonna say,
Sorry.
Okay, I was gonna say, did you struggle when you first? Because I know you said you struggled in high school, but it's also because you kind of really just didn't really care. But now that you have a different mentality, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go become a physical therapist.
Yeah.
And now you got to take these hard science classes. Like, how was taking all those classes?
Well, when I went straight to college, the wife was like, hey, you know, do good and this and that. And I was like, yeah, I'll do good. But that being said, I had to pay for it now. So I was like, oh, this isn't free anymore. So if I'm gonna be here, like it's optional too. Like you don't have to be here. So it's like if I'm spending my time, I'm spending my money to be here, I might as well put some effort towards it.
Yeah.
And that was like my whole mentality from like the very first day of college to like where I am now. So it's like I'm here paying for it, and just again, it's optional. You don't have to be here.
Right.
So like once that came in, it's like, okay, I have to take this more serious. Again, you know, I don't want to pay for something and not get the full benefit out of it, you know?
For sure.
So if that's the case, then not even spend your money on it. Just go do something else. That's how my thing is.
And with that journey of wanting to become a therapist, a physical therapist, did you have any like mentors or anybody that would show you the ropes?
Yeah.
Did you gravitate towards anyone that was?
It was so Joe, I think you guys know Munoz. Joe. You don't know?
I know Joe.
He's a therapist, and like I know him since I was like 11, 12. And growing up, he was like first of all, he was like a great soccer player and everything. He was like
a legend.
Yeah, he was like, he's a pro and this and that. And I was like, that's like what first caught my eye. But once I started realizing, okay, I want to be a therapist, then he was the person I went to, and I would ask him questions and I would shadow him and stuff and everything. And I was like, man, then this is what I want to do. It's like, and how he is towards patients is awesome. It's like, he speaks Spanish, he speaks English and stuff. And it's like, it's super nice to see that, like having someone who speaks Spanish can go to. And I see like their impressions of patients who go to him and like, oh, like you speak Spanish kind of a thing. It's like, you know, it's like they're seeing something like amazing. It's like, oh, like, and I saw that, and he would be like super cool with everybody. Everybody who would have like even like people outside where he would be working with, like everyone like loves Joe. And I was like, I want, that's the person I want to be like, kind of a thing. But again, he's the person that was like my person when it comes to career wise, like who I looked up to. I was like, hey, this is who I aspire to be, kind of a thing. So yeah.
So you mentioned you went to Kansas.
Yeah.
That was after you were at Mendocino College for what, 2-3 years?
Oh, so I was at Mendo, the community college, for 4 years.
Okay.
I was going to transfer after 2, but at that second year, that's the whole soccer program started. And I was like, you know what, 2 more years, what's going to happen and everything. So I stayed for 2 years to play at the college here. Then from there, I went to Kansas. And the only reason, well, one of the few reasons I went to Kansas was, again, I can play over there because I wanted to play. 2 is because it's so hard to get into these classes here, like anatomy and physiology. It's like you have to wait your turn. If you're not first in like the little order they have, you're not going to get into class.
Right.
So it's like, okay, if I'm going to, and mine was like, I was dead last. I was like, I have to wait probably 2 more semesters, 3 semesters to get into these classes.
At Mendo?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like, my only option is like to do my what I want to do. I have to pretty much transfer to Kansas and get those classes over there. And I was like, okay.
You didn't have priority because you were an athlete?
No, none.
What? Interesting.
Yeah, it's a community college, dude. They're like, okay, you're an athlete, cool.
They don't really care. It's not
in the sense, yeah. Like sometimes they can have a priority here and there, but it's just like, you know, these are the rules. Follow it, and that's it.
And so, why Kansas?
Oh yeah, what options did you have?
Yeah.
So I had like 6 or 7 schools. I had one from like Louisiana, I had like North Dakota, I have a few from San Diego, then UOP, University of Pacific.
Nice. I was just there.
They sent me an offer, but I think their program started like around the 2014, 15, around that time, I think.
No?
No?
University of Pacific? It's a D1 school in Stockton.
Yeah.
They've been around.
Yeah. Because I saw their record and I was like, dude, this team's trash, dude. And it was like 1-11 or a bunch of other stuff from that time. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go. But this Louisiana school called LSUA, it's like a sub school like LSU.
Yeah.
I was like this close to joining them. But I only went to Kansas because Felipe and Fabian, you know, we're going to take a trip. We're going to go over there. And I was like, okay, if we're all going, you know, we'll just go there and see how it is. Then we went there for a few days. We had like an awesome recruit trip over there. You know, they treated us well. You know, we had a party and, you know, had a good time. And everybody was like friendly and cool. Like everyone was like nice. So I was like, you know, everyone, there's some people I know here from Mendo. You know, everyone's pretty cool. Like, why not come here? Then, you know, that's like the main part of why I came.
So do you feel like if Felipe and Fabian didn't go, you wouldn't? Do you think you still would have gone?
Nah, it's Kansas, dude.
What school's in San Diego?
No, some private school. I don't even know. It's like a super small school, and they're like NAIA schools here and like all like spread out.
Dude, that'd have been nice. San Diego for school.
That would have been really nice. That's my biggest regret when I went to an undergrad. I was like, I should have went somewhere down in SoCal.
Dude.
Nice weather.
Yeah, change of scenery.
Yeah.
So you went to Davis?
No, was it? When I was at Kansas for like the year, I saw their record like this after the fall semester after the season's over. I look at theirs. They're like 14-3 and they're doing hella good.
Oh, Kansas?
No, like the UOP one, UOP.
Oh, really?
Then I was like, damn, if I would have, and this thing, it's in state, it's like 4 hours away.
Yeah.
I was like, if I would have stayed, you know, that would have been so dope having all that experience. And I looked at the Louisiana one I almost joined. They're in the national tournament.
National champions.
No way.
They're in the national tournament. And I was like, and I was thinking the whole time. And I was like, crying. You know, and it's always a whole what ifs, you know, before I went. But
dude, yeah.
Everything in life is a what if.
School wise, like I don't regret going there. If it was a different location, I would have stayed longer.
So there just wasn't a lot to do in Kansas, or what?
Well, during that time, I was like dating my wife, and it was like a long distance relationship. So I was like, it was hard.
Yeah.
you know. So I'll go out the front. I'll go out with my roommates and stuff here and there, but I wouldn't really like have the full experience.
Right.
Because anytime I had to talk to her, I would talk to her like you know, Skype or whatever, you know. Because it's like, you know, some people it's like a 4-hour drive. You can go see someone, but it's like halfway across the country.
Yeah, long distance can mean a lot of different things.
So it's like halfway across the country. It's like, hey, like 2-hour difference. You know, I'm going to sleep at 10. It's 8 o'clock over here. You know, so she's like, oh, let's talk. And I was like, dude, I'll talk.
Just got done with practice.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, after a game or something, I'm just like, you know, this sucks.
Yeah.
So
how difficult was that? Like, what kind of strain did that put on your guys' relationship?
It was hard. It was really hard. It's like, because there'll be times like she wants to talk or something. It's like, I can't, you know, I'm busy, you know, I have class where you know, it's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. It's like, I'm tired. So we'll be talking, we'll try, you know, Skype or wherever we can, but it's like, I was always busy. And I'll text her here throughout the day. So it's like, we were talking, but it's like, we weren't really talking. You get me?
Right.
And it was like, it took that strain. It's like, hey, like we're going out, but it's like, doesn't really feel like it. So anytime I had it on the weekends or anything to talk to her, it's like, I'll talk to her. And, you know, I'll have the laptop next to me. I'll have like the TV in front of us and we'll watch, you know, like Netflix together.
Nice.
Kind of a thing. So we'll make it work, but it was hard.
Yeah.
And I'll see her like every few months and I'll be here for like a week. Then I have to leave again.
I was going to say, would you come back for holidays and anytime you could get?
Yeah. And like, I would plan it out. It's like, okay, I'm coming back this day for this long. But like, I remember one time, I was like, I think it was Thanksgiving. I came back for like 2 weeks. I had like $16 in my checking account. $16. So I paid off my like the flight and everything, but I only had $16 in my checkings account. I had nothing else. My credit cards were like maxed. Again, I'm not asking my dad for anything for help.
Right.
So everything was like maxed out and everything. And
Are you working during
Kansas? No. So I sold my car here, and all that money here was going over there. But when I was in Kansas, they surprised us. They surprised us with like an extra fee. So people were telling us like, hey, you have to pay like $500 the first time. That's it. And I was like, oh, cool, whatever. They're like, nah, it's like $500 every month, depending on how good your grades are.
Every month?
So it's like, if you're below a 3.0, you have to pay more. But if you're above a 3.0, you have to pay like $500. If you're above 3.5, you have to pay this much. So it's like super weird. I didn't know that. So I was like, there's all this extra money that I have to pay that I didn't know I had to pay. What? So I had saved around like $4,000. It was pretty much like the first semester was like gone with bills and everything.
Dude.
Yeah. So I was like, why do I have to pay an extra $500? It's a private school. That tells you kind of everything you need to know. So they kind of make up their own rules. So all this money was going over there. And I was like, well, I'm going to fly back. And I was like, I flew back. And I remember I stopped in Salt Lake City and I was starving. So I left like at 4 a.m. I had $13 and I was like, I want to get something to eat. I was like, okay, this airport food's not cheap. No, I didn't have enough. And I was like, all right, just wait till the flight, get some food on the flight. They had the little crackers and stuff, and I'll eat. And
I'll take 10 bags of crackers.
So I had had a little water, and I had some crackers. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I just flew from there. I was there for 2 weeks, and I came back with $13 in my bank account.
Did anybody know that you had such little money in your bank account, or did you kind of keep that self?
I kept that secret. Like I had all my financials sorted out. I was like, okay, I have to pay this much for the bill, for the rents and everything. Like I had everything sorted out. So anything left over I had was just for me. So at the very end of that, till like the end of the semester, I was like low on money. And like my parents would call. I was like, hey, how are you? You need any money? I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm chilling, you know. And I was always joking around with my roommates during that time. Even now, it's like I would drink water for breakfast and lunch. And for dinner, I would have these $3 pizzas from Walmart. And I would eat that that was my meal for the day.
Jesus, man.
The struggle, dude.
That is a struggle. But doesn't there ever come into a time where now you're just being prideful because you're not asking for help?
Yeah. I thought about it. I was like, man, like,
that's
why?
How I feel, bro. Like that whole, like, I would rather just swallow my pride and be like, hey, can you shoot me $50? Like,
yeah,
and they'll do it with no hesitation. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you need help, take the help.
Like my dad would ask me, but I don't want to say nothing straightforward to my dad. Like, hey, I need money. That was never me.
Right.
But my mom would call and she's like, how are you? I was like, you know,
Mom, I'm starving.
I was like, Miko, what did you have for breakfast? I don't want to talk about it.
Hey, let me tell you.
I had the finest glass of water.
What did you have for breakfast? Ice cubes?
And she would ask me and I'll tell her, I was like, hey, like, you know, I need some money, this and that. And she's like, ask your dad. And I was like, I'm not going to ask him, you know. I'm not going to ask him. I was like, hey, I need this much money. So now all of a sudden my brother had to PayPal. You know, he'll send me like $2,000. And it's like, this is from her dad.
Nice.
Oh, from dad.
So my dad wouldn't say he wouldn't know,
Right.
but he would know.
Right.
My mom would tell him. My dad's like, hey, send this to him.
I need to give it to your brother, and your brother
Yeah,
give it to you.
that's like after Thanksgiving when he found out like that. It's like, what? Why didn't you just ask me?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know what? I can't. That's how I am. He's like,
Interesting.
okay, cool. So I got that. That helped me survive for the rest of the time. For to this December.
I invested that in Bitcoin.
I lost it all the next day. Dad, I need more money.
Dad, let me tell you a story. I could have doubled my money, but
Dad, listen, this is what happened.
Dad, you understand? This goes in waves. We're about to make our money back.
have you seen the things like they got us in the first half? So they saved me money, and I was like, cool. This is gonna help me out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll have my brother. He'll tell my brothers like, hey, send him like $500 and stuff here and there. But I wouldn't ask for it directly. And like when I came back from Kansas, I had a one-on-one with him. I was like, hey, I really do appreciate for you helping me.
Yeah.
And he's like, just don't be so fucking prideful. Just tell me you need help, and I'll help you.
Well, because I think when I'm a parent, when I get to that point, if my kid's struggling and he needs money, like, please come talk to me. Like, I will help you out. Like, I didn't just have you and then just like, all right, figure it out. I'm here to help provide for you and stuff. So
and that's how he was. He's always been like straightforward. Like, if you have something to tell me. Like, don't be around the fucking bush. Like, be straightforward with me. And that's what he told me. It's like, come on. It's like, be straightforward. If you need help, ask for help. Like,
those are tough conversations to have, though.
Yeah, those it's just weird for me having those conversations.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't avoid it though. Like, you have to have that conversation.
It's like he'll ask me, it's like, hey, so what did you eat while you're over there? And I was like, I had this great meal. It's like, what did you cook? He'll start like interrogating me, and it's like,
Dad, I had so much to eat. Bullshit, you're lying to me.
Because I surprised them that day, like a few days before Thanksgiving. I surprised them. They didn't know I was coming back to visit, so I surprised them. And my mom just saw me. She's like, "Oh my god!" I started crying, and my dad never cries. And he's like, I only saw him cry like a few times when I was like an actual like.
Who
20.
picked you up from the airport?
One of my friends. Yeah, but before that, I went to go see my girlfriend and my wife that day when she was working at the college. She saw me and she's like, "Oh, crying and this and that." I was like, "Yeah." Then from there, I went to my parents' house, and my mom started crying. My dad was eating he was eating dinner, and he just turned his head and started crying. And I was like, "Damn, I'm here for a week." Mm-hmm. So it was like that day is when I saw him crying, and like the day I left, it was like at 4 a.m. when I went, and he was sorry. He was like, he just turned his head and wiped some tears. Like, hey, my blessing. That's it. That was like the only 2 times. And every time I would come back after, he's like, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
So he's like, "You're back again already?
Back for more." Yeah.
So I was like, but he was super happy. I would spend time with him here and there, but I was like, he was happy. But that's pretty much was like my experience coming back. But Kansas was something else, man. But it was tough. Like, it was just tough. Like, long distance wise, I couldn't. I was just trying to make the relationship work with my wife. Just like, okay, when I'm back.
But she wasn't your wife at the time, right? Nah,
we were just dating for like 5 years, but like it took like 6 months, like of me being persistent. It's like, hey, like, let me go out with you. And she was like, no, I don't want to go out with you. This and that. But like, I've known her since like freshman year.
Right.
Of high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then like senior year, like we knew each other and we'll just talk here and there. But we always had a class. Then like senior year, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask her out. And she's like, no. I'm like,
all right.
And I a few months, we would hang out. A few months later, asked her out again. She's like, you want to go out? She's like, no. I was like, okay, come on.
Did she ever tell you why she didn't want to date you?
She said she didn't want to have a boyfriend like while in high school, like dating at the same school.
And
I was like, nah, that's some bullshit reason.
Yeah. Tell me why.
And so she's like, no. Then like one day we're hanging out at her house. She's like, like, you didn't want me to be my girlfriend anymore. Just saying that, just joking around. She's like, I can be your girlfriend. And I was like, what?
Word.
Yeah. So that happened, but it was like 5 years. And then when I went to Kansas, and it was like, I want to just make this work,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was like, I didn't have the full like experience. Like, I would party here and there, but it was like, back in my mind, it's like, I want to at least talk with her and stuff and everything.
For sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So after Kansas, how did you mentioned earlier that you went to Sonoma. So did you not graduate from Kansas?
No, I left. So
explain that.
So when I was playing, since college, I would always get concussions. I'm like concussion prone for some reason. Yeah. So when I went to Kansas, I had like probably like 5 or 6 concussions from then to there. It was just like
in Kansas you had 5?
No, in Kansas I had 2.
Oh, I thought you were saying
no.
you had 5. I was like,
no. So like up to Kansas I had like 5 concussions, but when I got to Kansas I got 2.
2 more.
One was pretty bad. It was a practice. I came out for the ball and I didn't come out sliding. I was supposed to. I just came out to pick it up, and my forward just came and just kneed me straight in the face. He just like hit me in the dome, and just knocked me out cold. And I came to. It was like good seconds. I came to, and I was like, oh, I'm fine, whatever. And they put me to the side. Like never, when you get a concussion, lay down. Never.
I heard you're never supposed to go to sleep. Right?
Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Wait.
I don't know. It's just something like it's your brain or something.
Like it just shuts off.
Yeah.
You're dead. Yeah. I don't know the specifics of it.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, that escalated quickly.
Yeah. I gotta see minus in bio, so I'm not really sure about the specifics.
So I didn't know that. So I went home. I went to sleep. And I woke up with a fat headache, and I was like, I texted my athletic trainer. It's like, hey, I have a headache. He's like, do you have these symptoms? I was like, yeah. How did you know? I was like, oh, you have a concussion. And I was like, wow, cool. So they had me out for like a good 3-4 weeks. I'm like, yeah. I was like, and I had, that test you have to take in college,
on the computer.
Yeah.
Like remembering the numbers and the sequences. And
yeah, and everyone told us like, hey, like don't do good on it, just in case you get a concussion, you can come back sooner. And I was like, that's a stupid reason. So I did hella good. And like, you have to meet. This is where you were. You have to get there.
Oh, they match your previous.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? It's not that hard. Boy, it was so hard. I was like, I don't know what the point was, but it was like a 70 or 80, like somewhere around there. What you had to get, and I was like 50, then like 60, then 65. I was like super low.
Damn.
And I'll take this like probably once a day. It was that bad. And I just one day I just took it and it's like, yeah, you met your score. You're able to practice now.
That was after like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And like the symptoms didn't go away for a few days, and I felt fine, but for them it was just like, no, you can't. So that happened. Then like literally the next game, I practiced for like a week, and like the next game I started, and some forward kicked me in the head.
Oh, man. Oh my
They
goodness.
kicked me in the head, and
that's so dangerous.
Dude, I was dizzy for a bit, and I see the athletic trainer come into like the sideline, about to run on, and I was like, I'm fine.
You just passed out.
I was like, then he didn't come on, but yeah, full on concussion I had, and yeah.
So you continued playing after?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was like probably 10 minutes left, and we kept on playing, and we were losing 3-0. We had like barely a full squad because people were hurt. So I was like, okay, what's 10 minutes gonna happen? What's gonna happen to me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna fall down and just die.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a concussion?
I haven't, but what I was gonna say is I remember playing intramural soccer my freshman year, it might have been my sophomore or junior, but we had a goalie, and he was like a big football player, but like he's like, oh, I'll just play goalie, I have good hands, whatever. And we needed a goalie, so we're like, oh, fine, we'll take him. And it was at the championship game, and this dude made a dive like towards the left post, and he hit his head on the goalpost. Oh, and so he's down for a second. He's down, but he saved it because the ball's going in. And I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And then I see him. He just like looks like he's out of it. And then I'm like, hey, you good? And he's like, I don't know where I'm at, but I know I'm playing soccer. I can play. And me just being me being the bad teammate, me being the bad teammate I was like, all right, get back in goal. So we're trying to win this.
What was it? I was playing men's league here with the team. Mm-hmm. I think it was like the first season or the second season. I remember we were playing up in Boonville, and it was like the first 10 minutes, someone shot, and I came and grabbed the ball in the air, and I hit my head against the post, and I was like dizzy and stuff, and I was feeling it, and I was like, I know I'm concussed right now. Mm-hmm. And I finished off the half, and I told Andres Avocado, I told him, I was like, hey, like I think I have a concussion. He was like, you're fine. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I have a concussion. Like I'm dizzy, and the lights are hurting my eyes. It's like, no, you're fine. Get back and go. I was like, you're right. I'm fine.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Got to play it out.
So that's pretty much like the whole mentality that was like, if I get a concussion, like usually people are like, if you get a concussion, like play through it, kind of a thing. But for me, it's like I realized like, hey, like your health after everything matters.
100%.
So it's like, okay, if this is a serious thing, so let me take care of myself now, and then won't have like problems later on. That was after like probably 7 or 8 concussions. Then I got like 2 more after, and I was like, well, fuck,
Yeah. So like you left after the season, or when did you decide?
So the season was over, and I was gonna come back and play next year, but for some weird reason, they just like, oh, you have too many credits, because I spent so much time at Mendo. It's like, you have too many credits. I was like, this is the first time I've ever heard of this. I have too many credits and I can't play. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they told me, it's like, you can't play. You have to say like a semester out, then you can play in the fall. What? Yeah, super weird.
Dude, what's frustrating about those things is that there's no like data system that they can look at and put all your information in and be like, it's all through interpretation. It's always someone counselor looking at your paperwork thinking, okay, yeah, you should be good.
Yeah.
And then there's this guideline that you don't meet. this requirement that you don't meet, so you have to sit out. It's just like, why couldn't you tell me this before I came over here?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I spent all this time, all this thousands of dollars into the school, like, and now I have to sit out. Like, I can't even complete my last year and play at the same time.
Yeah, I was hurt. I was like bummed out for a good probably like a month. I wouldn't say. I was like, I just didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
But once they told me that, I realized like, if I'm already here, let's make the best of it. So I got pretty much all the classes I needed, because I was already looking at like schools of where I wanted to apply when I go back to California. So I wasn't going to stay another year in Kansas if I wasn't going to play. Like, it's, the food's great, but it's like the weather's super bipolar. It's like, I remember one day, it's like I went out like sandals and the shorts and stuff. It was like a nice sunny day. It was beautiful. Came out of class, it's snowing. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like literally me in shorts and stuff and everything. And like, I was walking home and it was like cloudy. And I was like, oh, this is, it's coming over. Get home, starts raining. Then it's like hailing.
Jesus.
Then it's like thunder, lightning, and everything. And I was like, dude, geez, I literally had all the fucking weather conditions.
All the weathers in one day.
Yeah, and I was like, and plus like tornadoes and here and there and all that. Like the sirens would go off and then there's like close tornado close by. And I was like, I didn't want to deal with that or anything. Plus I'm super naturey, so I love like to go and hike and everything. And it's like super flat. Like when they say like, oh, the Midwest is like flat. It's like the only excitement you get, I always joke, is like a hill. So we got down for a hill, and that's your only excitement you'll get.
I thought you said the only excitement you get is when the tornadoes come. You're like, oh boy.
Yeah. Well, that's what people would do.
They'll
Some people just grab their lawn chairs and just sit in the front, and it's like, just to see this bad boy up close.
Dude, that's insane.
Like when that happened, and what happened to us is like the sirens were going off.
Uh-huh.
We just had like beer and everything. We're just joking around. It's like, oh, we'll just head outside, and we're just there, just chilling. Just where's the tornado? Wasn't the smartest thing, but it was like,
That's definitely not the smartest thing to do. I remember one time I went to go, this was like first, second grade. I went to go visit a family friend in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I had joked around like that. He's showing me around town with his friends, and I'm like, oh, I hope we see a tornado. And they just kind of like, everything got like serious, intense. Like, dude, don't be joking like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, come on, guys, like, chill out.
You're in second grade?
Yeah, we're just.
It's like,
Was I in second grade? I must have been in second grade.
Little
No,
kid, like,
that's a lie.
shut up.
That's a lie. That's a lie. I take it back. No, I'm lying. It was before my senior year, the summer, so after my junior year.
Oh, that's very different.
That's a different type of joke. But I went twice. I'm confusing the times. But I went over there for a wedding. Richard actually went that one time.
Oh, cool.
And I was joking around like that. I was like, oh, I hope I see a tornado. And they're like, no, dude, don't be joking like that.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's some serious shit. And
really?
I was like, yeah, like I was like, what, you guys have a bad sense of humor over here?
No, when we were over there, we'll like joking around with them. It's like, oh, tornadoes, and just like, joking around with it with us too.
Block you on Facebook, on Instagram.
So like
not friends.
So when like the sirens starting, so they have these sirens out like in town, like that let you know, like, hey, and they have these tunnels under the town. So the school had tunnels you can go under, and like,
What?
yeah. So it's super weird, but like one of our roommates, Felipe, who was at school when the sirens were off, and they were under the tunnel. And everybody else was out like the house, just chilling, drinking beers, just waiting for a tornado. And I was like, oh, okay. So either we can go to school, it's just like really, literally like a 5-minute drive from us, or we can just chill at the house. And
Like
just,
from here to where?
I'd say from here to Chavez. No, lie. From here to Andy Avocado, his house, like walking that close. It's like super close.
That's not that's like a 2-minute drive, like a 1-minute drive.
well,
That's only a few blocks.
Yeah, it's like
blocks
2 or 3 blocks.
Sorry, I'm not good with my fucking distance.
Jeez, man. I'm
Jesus,
just saying,
dude.
you're gonna paint a picture for people. At least be accurate.
So you leave the house, you take a left, and you just go straight.
Yeah.
But pretty much it was that close.
Gotcha.
Dude, that's insane.
But we just stayed home. We had, a 24 pack. We're like, dude, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Let's just start cracking. We're just cracking jokes and just grabbing our beers and just chilling.
Nice.
If you get sucked up by a tornado, do you die?
Nah.
No? I was about to say, yeah, you probably die.
Nah, you just have a good ride and just hope to God you land safely.
How fast?
Bruh, what? You're definitely dying. There's no way in the hell you're getting into a tornado and survive.
There's no positive attitude there, is there?
You gotta jump into the eye of the tornado, bro, and then just walk around with it.
Be optimistic about it.
No, you're dead for sure. 100%.
No, yeah, of course.
You can quote me on that
I think
one.
so, yeah.
Wasn't there like this famous story of like a baby stroller that got taken up and then set down? Baby's still asleep.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you heard of that?
Yeah,
Or was it
but
in a
I
movie?
I'm pretty sure that was in a movie.
Iron Man.
I'm pretty sure that was in the movie 2012 when the world's going to shit.
Yeah, but most likely you're gonna die. But roll the dice.
What would it just toss you out, or would you just like get
No, I think it just spins you,
shaken
dude.
up like a
I think it just starts
It's like
spinning
a really
you,
fun
dude.
roller coaster until
Yeah.
you land and
puke?
die. you land back down. But anyway, so then you finish your schooling, right? Because you're not playing that year, and then you just get all the
We
classes.
didn't even get to that
No,
part.
yeah. So I was like, so I knew I was gonna leave Kansas, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I can't just like go back. So I was like looking at all the classes I can like, what school I want to go to. I want to go to Sonoma, Sacramento, or Humboldt, and I was like, okay, these schools, these are requirements. So I looked at the requirements that were needed, and I took the classes over there at Kansas.
To transfer, right?
Yeah, because I don't want to come over here and just take more classes here. It's like if they have it here, I'll take it. So I took classes here at Mendo online. Then I took some in Kansas. So in total, I was taking like 25 units in one semester. So I took all those, and I got on my Kansas ones. I got like pretty much like a 3.1 or 2 that semester. And here I got like, it was just one class. It was whatever. But I was planning out what I wanted to do. So when I came back here, I couldn't go to Sonoma right away because the deadline was closed. So I had to apply for the spring. So I finally took a semester off. That was like my first semester off like in forever. So I applied to Sonoma. They're like, yeah, you can join the school, but you have to do a double application. So for the school, but then you have to apply for the program for like the kinesiology department. So I applied for both, and they're like, yeah, cool, you can join. I was like, lit, huh? So I joined, and I was there for probably a year and a half, and that's pretty much when I graduated. But that was tough because when I came back, I got a job right away, and I started working at Home Depot. So I was working at Home Depot from that time till like 2019. So I was there for 2 years. But when I was doing is I was working nights at Home Depot. I'll have class in the morning. So I would get off probably. So when I started school, I would start school around like 9 o'clock. I'll get off at Home Depot like at 3:30, or even sooner if I can get off. And I'll have like 2-3 hours.
It'd either be like 1 or 3, huh?
Yeah, and I'll get off and sleep for hopefully, because when you're working nights, your schedule's off. Like if you can sleep, great, but sometimes you don't sleep for a good 2, 3, 4 hours.
Dude, that must be so tough.
Dude,
it was awful.
I would never want to do something like that.
So that was what I was doing. So I'll get like a few hours sleep here and there. But
Wouldn't you drive to Sonoma?
Yeah, so like my last semester, I would drive, but my last semester was the hardest because I had all my classes were at like literally 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'll get off at 1, but I just couldn't sleep. So I would fall asleep right around 3:30. But I had to wake up at 5:30, get ready, leave the house by 6:10, so I can beat the traffic in Santa Rosa, because it's a fat minute to go from there to Runner Park with traffic. So I planned it out. I'll use the carpool lane up to that time. If not, I'll just roll the dice. Hopefully like a highway patrol or something doesn't see me, and I'll just take that, and I'll get there probably like around 7:30, sleep for like hopefully like 10-15 minutes, and just go to class. So most of the time I was like running on like probably 2 hours, 3 hours of sleep.
3 hours, yeah.
So, but on Thursdays, I didn't have, so usually the classes were like back to back to back because of a lab. But on Thursdays, we didn't have a lab. So I would go park in the back end of like Sonoma State, and I would just sleep in the back of my car for as much as I can until the next class. And I'll get like probably a good hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep. And I'll just do that and just get ready for class. Other times I can't sleep, I'll just go to Starbucks and do homework.
Dude, that's the struggle that people don't talk about enough, I feel like. Like
Yeah.
you were dedicated to doing that, and you're like, all right, man, I might get sleep whenever I can get it. And some days I can, some days I can't. And it is what it is, but I'm going to get it done.
Yeah. And my mom was like, are you okay? She would always call me and stuff. And it's like, I'm fine. I'm like, fine, like half asleep while I'm driving. But it was like, people were like, oh, it's crazy because everyone's like, oh, were you drinking coffee? This and that. I was like, nah. I was like a caffeine addict when I was little. I was like, drink rock stars, this and that. And I was like, this can't be me. So when I was driving, I had podcasts on. I would just listen to music, or I just have my window down and drink water just to keep me up. And that was pretty much what I would do for like a whole 5 months. And people were like, oh, how's school? I'm like, it's good. So
It's school.
yeah. So it's like, people,
dude, that's the thing, bro. Like night shift just throws everything off.
Yeah.
Everything off. And I just feel like I was always tired because we worked at the Home Depot together.
Yeah.
Right. I remember you told me you worked at Home Depot. So that's what I was going to ask. Did you guys work together at?
Dude, that was fun. But we worked in different departments.
Yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
what can I explain what you did?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Vic, and there was like a group of Danny joined like 3 months later, but it was
really?
like I had moved to Ukiah in February, and I was living with Nestor Bands, and I was just job searching because I had dropped out of school. This was after I came back from San Bernardino. I was like working from September to like January at Fort Bragg, and I was just busting my ass. I was like, dude, I don't want to do this. I just like if I continue to do this for months, like I'm probably gonna be depressed, or I'm probably just gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen to me, dude. Like I was just working like 14, 15 hours a day, and I was like, dude, this is not for me. So like I saved up a bunch of money. I was like, if I can't get into Sonoma, or it was Stanislaus. It's like, if I can't get into Stanislaus, I'm going to move to Ukiah. I'm going to play Soul all spring. I'm going to go to Sonoma State in the fall. That was my plan. But like you mentioned earlier, you missed deadlines. That's what kept screwing me over. I kept missing deadlines. I couldn't go to Sonoma in the spring because I missed a deadline. And then I was working all year 2019. I couldn't go to Sonoma in the fall because I missed another deadline. So I was like, okay, I need to get my shit together. I need to apply right now. It was like, I want to say September or October to apply.
But during that whole time though, I would talk to him about it. It's like, hey, how's school? Because anybody that I talked to when I work over there, or because I'm working there now, even before, I was like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they would like talk about school, and I would push them. It's like, hey, dude, it's like, do you really want to do this for the next couple of years, kind of a thing. And I'll try to kind of motivate them. And I was talking to Izzy, I was like, hey, dude, get your shit together, kind of a thing. And I'll talk to him. It's like, hey, dude, probably like a weekly thing. It's like, how's your school going? It's like, oh, this is why I'm working. I was like, cool, dude, keep it up, and that kind of a thing. Because there's one thing that I know is like, if I hate working retail, I just hate it. And it's like, I always ask people, it's like, do you want to do this for the next couple of years? And everybody was like, no. It's like, what steps are you doing to kind of progress yourself?
A lot of the people there, they're probably not doing much. They're just
and they're like,
not. And it's crazy because that's a really good point, because there's people that are doing that. Like a lot of people that work at the Home Depot are retired and they're coming back and they're working part-time because they're bored at home. And then a lot of people, that's their only option. And like, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people have a good job, like you have a job and you work there for extra money. There's a lot of people like that too.
Yeah.
So there's this huge mix of people that are in different situations. It's not just like these group of losers that don't have any other options, you know?
Right.
But it's messed up because like when we would talk at the Home Depot, I would very much feel like a loser. I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this. It's great motivation to get back to school. I'm like, I do not want to do this the rest of my life.
I know, you told me you hated it, right?
I hated every minute of it. At the beginning, it sucked because the first like 6 months I was working there was the graveyard. So I would go in at 9 and I wouldn't leave until like 6 in the morning. And I would literally just be restocking the garden area, like lifting cinder blocks. Like there's an aisle for blocks, restocking that, and then restocking the soils, rain or shine. And I was outside. I was the only one that was outside. Everybody else was inside, dude. And I was working the garden department. And dude, it was literally 60-pound bags, just flinging them over your shoulders, moving them around. Like
when I first came back from Kansas, that was my job. What you did, I was doing like the garden recovery. I was like going there with the blocks and everything. It was like
fun, dude.
It's awful because like, dude, it sucks because like it's just your body just goes through it. Because you'll go home like super sore and tired.
I'm sure.
It's like, dude, like.
And then you still have to go to the gym.
Yeah.
The lady, the HR lady, when she was hiring me, she was like, "Oh, the good thing about this is that when you're done with work, you're not gonna have to go to the gym." I was like, "That's definitely not gonna happen." But there's days where you just like exhausted when you get home, and then there's days when you get home and you can't fall asleep until like. Well, I'd get home at 6. I couldn't fall asleep till like 9 or 10.
Yeah, I bet.
Wake up at 3 in the afternoon and then have to go back into work at 9.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
But like beforehand, this is why when I came back, I realized like, okay, like I don't want to work 8 hours or anything. Like I want to work 4 hours. Like give me an early. I can get off at 11. I can have a decent sleeping schedule. I can get my 8 hours when I need, kind of a thing. But like I was there for 2 years, and Izzy was there, and again I was talking to him, I was like, hey, like what are you doing with school? You know, kind of a thing. Because again, it's like if I'm working with someone, I know they have potential. It's like, come on, like you can do more, kind of a thing. I always want to see people I'm around with to do more. You know, it's a good motivator for me and for everybody.
Oh yeah,
it's a good attitude.
Yeah,
it's a really good attitude.
So I was like, hey, what are you doing? Because someone that worked there wanted to be a teacher, and he was like super close, but he just had to take a few classes to take his like the exam thingy. Mm-hmm. And he was just like pointing to the side, and I was like, dude, like you're this close, like just finish it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I was always be on his ass. And he started taking his classes more serious and stuff and everything. That's why I want to see. So every time I'm there, I was like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, how are you bettering yourself? Because that's my mentality. It's like, I don't want to be at this job for any longer than I have to. I'm only doing this because it works with my schedule and I have bills to pay. That's the only reason. If I didn't have like bills to pay or anything, I wouldn't be working there. Just because there's so much strain that happens on your body that I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So you were doing what he was doing, and then you were doing something different?
Yeah, I came into the store and I was like stocking, like pretty much stocking.
So they like take the boxes off of the shipment trucks and they just organize them through department, and then they get their little carts and they go out throughout the store and just restock it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Literally all night.
Yeah.
Like the same thing every single day.
And it's like
of the week.
For me, it's like it's so boring. If I'm doing something like constant, like something the same for a while, I get bored. And that's why it goes back to physical therapy. There's same issues here and there, but everyone's so different that it's just something new.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. It's like, oh, this guy has low back pain. This person has low back pain. Okay.
But they can be two different
Two
scenarios.
different
totally
issues.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like, okay, just problem solving kind of a thing. So yeah.
Interesting. And so then when did you really get into physical therapy? You graduate, you go to Sonoma, you finish off your classes, and then what's the next step? Do you go look for a job?
So with physical therapy, you have to apply for the doctorate program. So you have to take your GREs, which is like the exams, it's like the SATs when you're going to high school for college. It's like pretty much like that, but harder.
Okay.
And once you take those, depending on how good your scores are, you can apply and do that. So I did all that when I left Sonoma and I was studying. I killed myself because everyone takes like 6 months to a year to study for the GREs. And I was like, I took probably 3 days to study.
3 days?
Yeah, I was like, you know what?
I'll be fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much my mentality.
Was it like a test of everything you learned throughout the whole...
It's just random stuff, dude. It's just random stuff. Like they have booklets and stuff. Like you can search it up, and it's just like this.
Just like a baseline knowledge.
Yeah, but it's like math and a bunch of writing and like comprehension and stuff. But it's like how they word it is like so weird. But so it's like people study 6 months to a year or whatever, how long they study. And I was like, what's the worst kind of going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I took that and mine were like just below like where you're supposed to be. I was like a few points off. And I was like, if I studied, I would have been higher. And I applied, but Sac State and a few others didn't get my GRE scores. For some reason, they didn't receive it. And a bunch of other schools, like, again, just bites me in the ass because my grades weren't as good. Again, goes back to the whole, C to get degrees, but in medical field, you have to have A's. And I was having B's. It's like, yeah, you're good, but you're not good enough.
Right. There's other people who have those A's.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. So I joined the physical therapy assistant program here at Mendo because I was like, okay, got word that they want to do this. And I was like, okay, I joined it and I'm in it. But again, this year I'm going to apply again for physical therapy school because like I love the assistant part of it. There's less paperwork. You get paid pretty well. But I want to have, something just being like a physical therapist is like what motivates me. It's like, okay, you're a physical therapist. It's like, and also like you're a doctor of physical therapy. Who wouldn't want to be called, doctor, the kind of a thing, Dr. Rios. It's like, kind of a thing.
Sounds good, man.
kind of a thing. So it's like, yeah, like for me, it's like, yeah, it's a nice title, but it's like, you get paid well. It's a good career and stuff and everything. And it's like, it's something that I want to do. It's like, if you're doing something you don't like, then why are you doing it? Rather just put your effort and time into something you want to do and just do that, even if it takes a little bit longer.
Preach.
Yeah. So it's like, just do the extra work and you'll get there. Mm-hmm. Hopefully. If not, there's Home Depot.
So how's the program to be an assistant, or you're an assistant right now? How is it?
I'm in the assistant program for here at Mendo. So when I left Home Depot, I went to work for the hospital and I worked for the physical therapy department. So I was like, okay, what better way for me to get to what I want to do than get my foot into the department? So I started working there as like a scheduler, started scheduling all the patients and stuff. And like, I'm still hired with the hospital, but whenever they need somebody to cover, I'm there. They'll ask me, like, hey, can you come in? So I was there working. Then my first semester, like last year in the spring when I worked was in the program, I worked like probably like part-time at the hospital. Like I will go to class Monday, Tuesday. Then I work Wednesday through Friday, 8 hours. And that's what I would do for the first semester. Then I stopped because it was just too much. But the program is like, it's any program. It's like a dental program or anything. It's like, it's hard. Like I remember like that first semester I was having like, I never had like mental breakdowns or anything, like anxiety attacks. But like that semester was that hard. I was like having anxiety attacks.
Really?
Damn.
Yeah, it was
what
like,
would you do to...
Yeah.
I would just calm myself down. It's like, hey, you got this. I'll just breathe and stuff and just try to calm myself down.
And you were just overwhelmed by the work,
it was just the work. It was just like, so you have like 5 classes, but all these classes are demanding this like a lot of work. It was pathology. It was like the clinical part of it, like knowing your anatomy, a bunch of other. So it's all this other stuff. It was like, it's overwhelming. And they're like, oh, the first semester's the hardest and stuff and everything. And I was like, okay, cool. So I got done with that. Then the second semester came. It was like, oh, it's only 2 classes with labs, but it's just as much work compared with everything. So it's like, you can't memorize it. It's like things you're going to have to use throughout your whole career. And for me, I was like teaching, it's like, okay, if I memorize it right now, I'm not going to need it later on. It's like, no. And last semester, like, it kind of bit me in the ass. Like, okay, you should know this by now. You don't know it. And I was like, that's when I realized, like, hey, like, I really need to focus more on school and just like focusing on this issue. I was like, yeah, I'll make less money, but like the return is like I will understand it, have a better understanding of what I have to do, what I have to know.
That's so interesting because when I went to college, I don't know if this is like a life hack or anything, but I would take a class and literally I would just study the material I needed for that midterm and just like, I just need to memorize this. I just need to know it for this test. And then after that, like, you know, I'm going to get my degree and I won't need it. And a lot of the times that was true. Like I just needed it for that semester, that quarter that I was in. But for you, it's like this information you're going to use every single day. So it doesn't benefit you to just like try to memorize something on a little time card or whatever. And then,
It's perfect example. Cause that's how I was. I was like, okay, I just memorize this and that's it. I'm done with it. But like, no, it's like, okay, the first semester teach you like the anatomy and everything, like really go in depth to what the body is. And I just memorized it. In the second semester, I was like, okay, this is what you should have learned. This one, they will ask us questions about the muscles and everything. And I was like, fuck. It's like, I should know this by now. And I'll kind of be on myself. Like, okay, you should know this by now. This is what happens when you're slacking off. So it's like that self-doubt. It's like, am I even good enough for this kind of a thing? So like, but the first semester is like whole from like January till May. But everything else after, you have clinicals where you go in and practice. So, but that gets cut, the semester gets cut from 17 weeks to 11 weeks of like schoolwork. So everyone has, it's like a quarter system in a sense, kind of a thing, but like a little bit longer. So it's like from January to like, for example, it's like January now to like end of March, beginning of April, like middle April is a whole semester of like, we're actually in there like doing classwork and stuff. Everything else, the last 6 weeks, we're doing clinicals, we're working with patients and stuff. So it's
is
like,
that nerve-wracking working with people for the first time? And
oh, dude, I was so nervous because I was working. Well, especially now with the whole Corona stuff and everything, everyone's like kind of sketchy about it.
Yeah, how has that been for you? How's it changed things?
We'll talk about the first patient. Like, how was that?
I was like nervous. Well, my therapist, my CI who I work with, she was like, oh, the first patient's super sweet. And like I'll tell you what he had. He had a stroke. So his the whole like left side was like paralyzed kind of a thing. Couldn't really move it. And he was like, he's super sweet though. He's super nice. And I went and talked to him. He was like cussing me out. I was like, you fucking piece of shit, this and that. I was like, but he has like he couldn't remember because that's part of the stroke. He's like, couldn't really remember stuff. And he just like confused me with someone else who's just yelling at me and cussing me out.
Bro,
and I was
your
like,
skin color?
So I was like, okay, cool. You know,
oh,
nice to meet you too.
Looking at your
first
CI,
patient.
Yeah, like first
CI,
patient. And that was like her whole thing. It's like, yeah, I remember your first patient. And I was like, yep.
She was messing with you?
Huh?
Your CI was messing with you?
Yeah, so I thought the whole time she was like joking around with me, like, you remember your first patient? And I was like, yeah, I remember. And this is like a patient we constantly see.
Oh, okay.
So we will see this patient, but at first he wasn't able to do anything. You know, he was able to tap his toes like sitting down, but he wasn't able to stand up or anything. But like 3-4 weeks later, we were having him walk, like stand up, then walking.
Nice.
And that feeling of like, oh my God, like from just tapping your toes to just walk, it's like the greatest feeling you can have in your life.
It's working.
It's just like, okay, this is all the hard work you put in, and look, this is the results of it. And that's like, for me, is like, this is why I'm in this career. It's like nothing else beats this right here, like seeing him walk. Yeah, he'll cuss me out here and there. He doesn't want to do anything, but it's like, hey, that's just part of it that comes with it.
Yeah.
And like seeing a patient go home, again, greatest feeling ever. Like you did everything that you could do, and he benefited out of it. And he's finally able to go home. Like he was able to go home like 2 days before Thanksgiving.
Hell yeah, man.
And he was like, he's like, thank you. And told me and my CI, I was like, you're welcome. It was like the greatest feeling.
So you're the assistant?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a patient and I had a stroke, same situation as the guy, my whole left body doesn't. Is the whole left side of the body doesn't work? Or
just the left side. So you'll have, depending how severe it is, like some stroke patients you have some movement. Other ones you just yeah.
Well, okay. So what would be like the first step? So I get in the office. You guys just like assess my body and see what works, what doesn't.
The therapist was gonna do an evaluation with you to see what's your level of function, kind of a thing. So it's like, can you move? Can you stand? Kind of a thing. Can you move your ankles? Like we'll do all these different things to see where you're at. Then from there we'll kind of make a plan. It's like, hey, this is what we got to do first. Short-term goals, long-term goals. We'll kind of plan it out to see how we can help the patient get better. And everything else after that, we'll be there to help you, but it's up to the patient to want to help. Because sometimes patient was like, I don't want to work with you today. I was like, hey, we have to work with you today.
They come into your office?
We go to their room.
It just depends. At the hospital.
Oh, I was at a senior nursing facility.
Gotcha.
So you'll go to their room. It's like, hey, good morning. Do you want to work with us today?
And who pays for this? Is it like the
insurance? So if it's the nursing facility, the insurance pays. So, for example, a certain like Medicare or something pays this much, like 90 days to be in the nursing facility. They expect 5 days a week to get treatment. like to be seen by a therapist, they're gonna get their 5 days. And the nursing facility wants you to see them 5 days because that's how they get paid. So it's a whole different drama when it comes to insurances, because it's just like, it's just the system how it is. I don't like insurances. I hate it. I think they're, taking advantage of people in their situations at times, and just how much they have to pay. There's some people paying like, premiums and stuff and everything. It's like hundreds of dollars.
They set the price.
Yeah. So it's just like, I don't like that. But again, this is the country that we live in. So I'd rather have free healthcare, but that's just a personal opinion to me. You can make it easier. But yeah, insurances pay the nursing facility, and the nursing facility is like, hey, you have to see this patient. Push them. Like, go every other, ask them again until they say yes. Sometimes they just flat out say no, they don't want to work with you. I was like, okay, that's one day we missed.
And so you don't get paid for that day that you don't work then?
With them, no.
Interesting.
It's like on our end, for
Right.
like the therapy people. Yeah. So it's like, it depends on the setting that you're in.
And how many of the therapists were in the group with you when you were taking this?
So each therapist had one assistant, one of the students.
Oh, okay.
So we were spread out like throughout the whole northern. Like someone was in Modesto, and then one was like in Redding. We're all spread out,
Gotcha.
and we're in different settings. Like outpatient was like, when you hurt yourself, you had a surgery, you go somewhere. That's outpatient. Inpatient is like the hospital or the nursing facility.
Gotcha.
So it depends. So insurances depend on where you're going, kind of a thing. So it's a whole rabbit hole. But again, I'm happy I know that because I was working at the hospital, and I kind of understood what the insurance issue, like insurance stuff were, and what happens with them. So I had a good understanding of like, well, okay, this is how the insurances are. This is what happens. So I have like the behind the scenes of like all the paperwork and everything, because I dealt with that. So
Gotcha.
that's pretty much what happened.
Okay, and so how have things been with COVID now? How have things changed?
Oh, it was like we get constantly tested. I remember when I was there, it was like we were getting tested twice a week. We have our face shield, we have our mask and everything.
You're still getting tested.
Yeah. It's like these are, 65 and older patients, if someone, if they get it, the worst can happen, they can die.
Right.
Kind of a thing. They're at the more
Susceptible to
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we have to be careful. And like during this whole time, it's like, okay, when you're working with someone, even if they're not older or anything, it's like when you're coming home, it's like, do I have it or something, kind of a thing. That's why you get constantly tested. So it's like, it's always that worry. I was like, okay, do I have it? Yeah. So like when everyone's like, the nurses and everything, I have so much respect for like people that work in the health field that have to deal with that.
Definitely.
Because it's just like you're in this constant. It's like it's stressful as well. So it's like, yeah, your body is tiring, but like I would get home and like my classmates would tell me, it's like I'm tired, but it's like I'm not physically tired. It's like I'm emotionally tired. Because you see people out there worse when you're in there. Sometimes like people just having bad days and they just don't want to do it and they're crying. Like you're their support system. I think that's what matters the most. And sometimes you're just like, dude, it's like I could have done more. But you can't, and you can't let that affect you, because if it does, then you're like, it doesn't help you or the patient.
Right.
So you have to be
man, you kind of have to just be this rock for them.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. Sometimes you're just there and just like, dude, like I'm emotionally drained. Like I don't want to be here today. And
what do you do to get yourself out of that funk? Is there anything you do specifically that works for you?
I would just go on hikes. I would just work out, and I'll just get my mind free. It's like,
yeah, man.
if you're if you're constantly in that environment, it's just like it's tiring. So it's like, what better way than just go for a walk? Just
Get
relax.
away from everything.
Yeah.
Do you ever bring that emotion with you home?
Yeah, I remember like the first couple of weeks I was come home, like she sees patients, she'll tell me, but like with those patients, like again, they're seeing them at their worst. And there's a few times like I get home and it's like I wanted to cry, because it's like, dude, these are like the patients I'm seeing every day. Like these are like literally every day I'll see them, and then sometimes they get better, sometimes they get a little bit worse, and it's like they're not getting, like sometimes they just don't get better, they have a bad day, and I'm just like, dude, it's like, what can I do? And that was always a stressful thing, and I have to learn to do better with that, because I can't let that come home. And that's something that I'm still working on. Because like for me, I'm a very like emotional person when it comes to my patients. Even when I was working at the hospital as a scheduler, like again, if you see someone who speaks Spanish, like I think you guys can attest, like your parents go, it's like they see someone speaking Spanish or something, it's like, oh, it's like the greatest feeling in the world, kind of a thing.
So you can relate to them.
Yeah. And that was like, I love that feeling. And if I'm able to relate to the patient, even knowing them as a first name basis, like, hey, hello, how are you? Kind of a thing. That's like, that it makes them feel better, because I know that kind of a thing. So I have to put a little bit more for make them feel better. If it's their experience that they're having with us. Yeah, it's a job for me, but I have to make their experience better. kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's a good approach.
Yeah.
So how long are you going to be in that program for?
If everything goes well and I pass my classes, because if you don't get like midterm,
So you're still taking classes right now?
Yeah, if you don't get your midterm, if you don't get a 75, you get a retake, and if you don't get a 75 on that, you get kicked out.
You have to redo everything
So
again.
you get 2 tries.
Yeah, you'll talk to them depending on the situation. If you're like close, they might let you back in. If not, you're just out. You have to reapply.
So what happens after that? What's your next step?
I know a few people who they got it, they were let it back in, but sometimes it's just like you have to reapply, and it's like if you just skipped like the first 2 semesters and you start where you were.
And when are you going to take this midterm? When is it?
I don't know, it's like 2-3 weeks from now.
2 or 3 weeks from now?
Yeah.
Jeez. And how do you feel going into it right now? I mean, obviously you still got a few time to study and get ready, but.
Well, I'm pretty good, but it's like, again, it's like right now I'm taking like neuro,
Mm-hmm.
and I hate neuro. It's like if I don't see it, I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, there's connections like with the nerves and everything that's happening through your muscles. Like, it's a signal sent from my brain to this so I can move my hand, my elbow up. Okay, I don't see it. Yeah, I see the end result. I can do this, but it's like I don't see the whole process
behind it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't understand that. That's like the issue I have.
Mm.
So I was like, oh yeah, I kicked my knee out. I was like, cool. I know there's muscles here. Okay, but how did I get there? And there's all this other stuff that I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's like, dude, I even have to know this. I'd just rather just play COD or something. Just like,
Yeah, man. Well, I would say is just study more than 3 hours probably than when you study for the first one.
So I work in the afternoon, so I have like the whole like day. So I wake up like at 7:30, 8 in the morning, get my day ready. From like 9 to 1, I study. Then I take a break while my wife's here for lunch. We just talk and everything. Then from there, I study some more. So I'm studying probably like 5 or 6 hours a day.
Okay, yeah.
Or so, yeah. Because towards the end of the afternoon, I lose steam, and I just like I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, just hop on COD.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like 5 or 6 hours I'm studying a day, and even then I feel like I don't have enough time because there's just so much information. Because you have to again, I don't want to memorize it. I want to know it.
Yeah, huge difference.
So it's like there's always I feel like there's like this time crunch that happens during this time, and it's just like stressful.
Okay, and so let's say they take the midterm, you pass it, flying colors. What's the next step after that? Do you go work for someone? Do you go, what's the next step?
So we take the final and we do all that. Then we go to our clinicals. And so if you were inpatient the first semester, like the second semester, like when you first did it, you flip flop. So if you're inpatient, you're an outpatient. So if you're an outpatient, you're an inpatient. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
So you flip flop. So right now I have outpatient coming up. And that's the setting that I want to work in. Like I want to be out there working with people. Because don't get me wrong, I love like working with the senior people and everything, working as an inpatient. But again, you're seeing people a lot at their worst, and it's like so much.
What's the difference?
Like, it's like more like in the SNF or an inpatient, you see them practically every day, compared to outpatient, you see them twice a week or however long the therapy.
What is it? Outpatient?
In and out.
In an outpatient.
Oh, outpatient.
Yeah, in and out. So outs usually they're not as severe as the.
It's like a sports injury.
Out is like if you had say you get a knee surgery or something, like you tear your ACL or something.
Yeah. Okay.
You go outpatient and you're there. You see them for say 2 times for 8 weeks, and that's how much you go. You have your home exercise plan. You go home and stuff.
Gotcha.
But like an inpatient or anything like a sniff, you go there and you see them every single day.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. Might not be the most severe, but that's pretty much how it's planned out.
So you're not doing both. You're not doing like one. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you just choose, and at the very last semester, you get to choose which one you want to do.
And you want to do out.
Yeah, it's just more. I can relate more with It's not much emotionally with like seeing them every day. I can see them here like this like on Tuesday. I can see them on Thursday or Friday, whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So
more
it's
flexible.
Yeah. Again, you still get those problems from patients talking about their lives and stuff and everything because that's just how it is.
But seeing someone every day, you get invested, and then that's when you get the real attachment and whatnot.
And that's
what company are you working for right now?
What company?
Or where is it that you're working? Like, what is it? Is it the hospital?
For the program?
Yeah.
It's just the program. For the program, it's just the college. It's like the one that's doing it.
The college here, Mendocino College?
Yeah. They just did a new program. It started like last year. We're the first year. We're like the guinea pigs for everything that's happening.
And what facilities are you working at?
We're inside like the gym, like in that big, not in the gym, but there's classrooms in there, and that's where they have it assorted. So we're right next to the weight room. There's those right there, that room.
Yeah, but when you do when you see your patients, like where?
Oh, we go to the facilities. So the clinical coordinator has these places that we can go to. And we just choose like, hey, I want to be this, but everything's listed like 1 to whoever the last student.
So once you're done with this program at the college, are you gonna work for the hospital? Like, what is your plan? Like, can you start your own business, like physical therapy?
Yeah.
Do you plan on working somewhere? Like, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna work for the hospital here.
Yeah.
Because I already have my foot in the door, and I know everybody there. So I get along with everybody. So it's like, okay, this is like it's perfect for me. And they told me, it's like, hey, when you graduate, we would love to have you here.
That must be such a good feeling knowing that you kind of got a spot there after you're done.
But I think that being said, it's like it goes through the whole thing. It's like, okay, how much are you going to pay? How much are the benefits and stuff and everything? I feel like
it's true.
A lot of people, when you're thinking about that, it goes out the window. It's like, oh, it's a nice place. Yeah. But being a nice place doesn't really pay the bills and doesn't really.
You got to think about the future, how much you're going to be able to. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, once I started getting older, I realized, okay, it doesn't matter how much you get paid. Yeah, you get paid good, but what comes with it? Are you having good benefits?
Yeah, benefits are huge.
Yeah, are they matching your 401k kind of a thing? I'm thinking all these other things. Like, okay, those are things that you have to think about. Because then if you're going to be in this career for a while and it's this job for a while, okay, what I'm giving you my time, my effort and everything, what can you give me that will benefit me?
Dude, I just realized this too because so I recently just got new glasses and I'm working for the county right now, so I'm using their insurance. And it's really good insurance. Obviously, they're working for the county. And so I went in and I did my eye test, and they're like, all right, cool, your glasses are going to be ready in 2 weeks. And they're going to cover like $150 worth of the glasses. Like, it was super. I ended up paying like not that much out of pocket. And I got them in 2 weeks. And my little brother, who has Medi-Cal, right, he went in, I think, like 3 weeks before I did, right? And he went, did the eye test, did all that. And he hasn't even got his glasses yet.
Yeah.
And he's been waiting for now almost 2 months. And he just hasn't got them. Obviously, I think it's because of COVID. It's been affected, like where they make the glasses and how they ship them out and whatnot. But it's like, if you have good insurance, if you have good benefits, you get your stuff like that. And then you don't have to worry about those things. Yeah. Knowing I can just go get an eye test or go get a dental checkup or whatever and not have to worry about how much I'm going to be paying out of pocket for that. That's huge.
Yeah. I think a lot of people like our age don't really think about it as much as they should. It's like, okay, yeah, you're getting paid. Yeah, you get paid like $50 an hour. That's great. But what are you paying for what benefits are you getting? Like my wife, like she gets paid like, 55 or 52 or whatever. She makes a lot of money like on hourly, but like her benefits are amazing. Like I'm going to get braces. Usually it's like $5-6 grand. I get them for free.
Dude.
Because of her?
Because of her insurance. Because where she works at, and they're going to give me braces for free. And like one thing I'm lucky that I'm choosing the medical field is like, there's a lot of benefits that come with it. It's like, yeah, the benefits are usually really good working in the medical field. Yeah. But again, it goes to the location where you're working at. Yeah. So that's one thing to think about when you're getting older. It's like, okay, again, I'm giving you my time and my effort and everything. What can I get in return? Yeah. And some people are like, we'll give you some benefits. And it's like, how good are the benefits? Yeah, I get paid more over there, but like, what are your benefits? Like, it entice me.
Right. So at the end of the day, even if you have a spot here, if someone else offers you better benefits and better pay, you're going to go towards there.
Yeah. And if it's like makes sense, if it's like 2 hours, like an hour and a half, 2 hours away, I'm not gonna, kind of a thing. Right. But again, like I look at it as a whole picture instead of just like the pay.
For sure.
Because again, for like when I started working for the hospital, I finally realized like what a 401k was. They would talk to me like, oh, they'll talk about the 401k and stuff and this and that, and I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, do you have one? I was like, nah. And everyone was like surprised, like, what? You don't have one? And that's when I took it. Like, okay, well, maybe I should get one. And I opened up my 401k and I started doing all this stuff. And, the hospital would match it. Like, wherever you put in, they'll match it and give you a little bit more. So it's like, okay. And I realized, okay, my boss, my department guy, he's like, he didn't do a 401k till he was like in his 30s. And he regrets it. That's super late. It's like, if you do one early on, later on, you're older, but you'll have the money. So you won't have to work, do the work now. Again, do the work now. So later on you can enjoy it. So,
that's great advice.
Yeah.
100%, man.
Well, Victor, we basically talked about everything we wanted to hit and more.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for us before we finish?
No, I have no questions. I enjoy your podcast. I've been following you guys since the begining. This has been a long time coming. I was supposed to come in sooner, but hey,
dude, way sooner. You're supposed to come on when we were in my room.
Yeah.
and then you flaked on us.
And then you flaked on us like twice, dude.
Like, so now I watch you guys. I enjoy you guys a lot. So keep it going.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, everybody at home watching or listening, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week.
Peace.